Okay, just to give you a view of everything that comes with this Underglow light kit from Nilight, you get everything here that's in the box. So we've got 4 pairs of lights. So each pair has its own LED bar strip, and there are 2 longer ones, or 4 longer ones total, for the driver and the passenger, if that's the way you want to set it up, and 2 shorter for both the front and the rear. We'll get the measurements on those here in just a second. You also get a remote control that does your brightness up and down. It's got music mode, on, off, red, green, blue, and white, and then every color in between. And then you can also do flash, strobe, fade, and smooth. We got a bag of hardware here for some connections or for some mounting if we want to use those. We'll probably stick with LED or with some zip tie strips predominantly for most of the installation, but we'll check and see what that is. We've got a little booklet here. Thank you from Nilight. You got the user manual, so I'll let you take a pause here if you got anything that you need to read from the instruction manual if you lose yours. And the rear gives you some of the features of the remote control, some of the functions. And then, of course, your wiring harness. So this has got a big section of wiring, all the connections that will go to each of the LED light strips. And then we've got some additional wiring here, a blue wire, a white wire. We'll check those out in the user manual, but most likely that's going to be for connection to that reverse light or things like that that we want to do for the puddle lights. Let's just get a measurement of these LED strips because we do have 2 different sizes here. We've got 4 strips that measure in about 25 inches from the edge of the light bar to the edge of the light bar, and then there's a little mounting piece on either side. So 25 inches on the passenger and the driver sides, and then front and rear measures in about 19 inches. So 19 inches, 25 inches, and then of course there's a little connector wire in between the 2. So if you want to see the full length, you can add another roughly 1.5 inch spacer in between the 2. That'll give you an idea on what sizing that you'll have come in the box. I would recommend, first thing, go ahead and get that wire harness that you have and separate all your wiring. So you've got one set of wires that come out here. This is going to be your positive and negative that'll go to your battery source or your power source. You've got another set of wires coming out of the control box that look like they go to each individual wire, LED strip. So we've got 4 different connectors there, and those connectors look like they will connect on the ends here. So we'll get that all set up and see how it works. And then we have another pair of wires that are coming out of the same control box that are blue and white. All right, so just to show you a little bit clearer on how these plugs go together. So on the LED bar end, you've got a male connector here with a little green piece on the inside. And then on the control panel side, the control box, we've got a female end with a notch out. There are also arrows that are indicated on the sides of the plastic, if you can see those. And you just line these up, right? They're pretty simple. If you're doing your own wiring, I'm sure you've done this before. Just put them in together, the arrows should line up together, and then make sure to fully seat them together so that you've got a watertight seal. So this is what we're working with. We'll go into red, green, nice, blue. Of course, we had our white on earlier. All right, let's go back with just the bright white lights. Yeah. Make sure that those are pumped up all the way. Looks like they are. Yeah, so those are nice and bright. So those should look good under glowing down on the ground. We'll go red. Very cool. The greens. The blues. Color options. Once again, we'll probably use red. We'll use some greens at times as well. But for the majority, I'm really interested in the white so that we can light up the puddle lights on the ground underneath the truck when you walk up and unlock it. So anyways, everything's working good. Let's find out how we're going to get it installed. All right, let's get this thing jacked up here. Kind of thinking that I might want to just put these bars on either side and not worry about the front. Let's see how they fit under here. Kind of liking this. Tell you what, I'm going to zip tie this up as just a sample. We'll do a test run. We'll turn the lights off. And then I'll show you what I'm looking at. All right, that'll give us like I said, an idea of it. Then we can fully zip it down if that's good. All right, here's a sample of what this would look like just on the sides. So we have two long ones, or we have 4 bars. We have the 2 longer ones and the 2 shorter ones, only on the side, not on the front, not on the other side. This is kind of what this would look like. It is with red, green, blue. Go through some of the flashing of the white. All right, we're on the driver's side, and you can see that I've got my first plug here letting loose for the wiring, and I've got the LED light strip zip tied to the rail. So I'm going around the full part of the rail where I have to, and on other sections where I can leverage a hole, such as this one, then I'll go through the hole and wrap around. I've got both the full long side of the driver one zip tied here to this rail. But then what I opted to do, as you can see, my second drop here, about midway back, this is almost under the driver's side door. So just to give you a reference of where I'm at. So the driver's side door ends. Actually, driver's side door is here. This is the extended cab door, the back of the extended cab door. If I come down, you can see I'm starting now my second run of the shorter piece of the LED strip. And where it separates there, and I've got a bend in the truck frame, I follow that up as best I can on the driver's side here. All right, passenger side, and I've got the same setup on this side. So I've got my cable awaiting connection to the harness, and I've zip tied all of my LED lights across the bar. And then the second one, I start here, and then I fold it up here. So now I'll just run all my wiring, and I will have all of the lights on both sides of the truck. Nothing on the front or back though. All right, next I've taken my wire harness and I've stretched out the power cables and the blue and the white cables to one side. And then you've got 4 leads that go to all of the LEDs. Okay, just noticed something, getting ready to wire this up. And so we have 4 leads for going to the LED strips. But if you notice, only one of them is super long, and that's the one that was supposed to go to the back. The other 3 are the same size. So I'm going to need to make sure that I route the wiring underneath to hit those back LEDs, because I put, remember I put the other ones on the side as well. So I've taken all of the leads and I've kind of bunched them together. We're going to take those from the top here in the engine bay. We're going to try to find a hole to get down underneath the bottom of the truck. Then we're going to stretch all the leads to the corresponding lights to make sure we've got enough length. All right, guys, so I just finished up the installation of the Nilight Underglow light kit. A few things that I learned along the way that I'll share with you. First and foremost, thanks to my friends again over at Nightlife for hooking us up with these lights. Very cool. So this is an 8-pack. had 2 pairs of the longer ones for the sides and 2 pairs of the shorter ones for the front and the rear. So Since my truck is a little bit longer than maybe some of the vehicles that they put their lights on typically, I decided to go with just one long strip on either side, from basically from the front of the front door to almost the I guess in between the wheel wells. Really is kind of where my lights are. They're yeah, it's pretty close to where they are in there. So that gives me a good constant glow that's right under the each side of the truck. I have nothing in the front and the back, unfortunately, but I think for this setup, it looked a little better to me once I did a few tests. My main goal again was to be able to walk up to the truck, unlock it, and then have the underglow come on to give you a little bit of extra visibility at night. And then, of course, all of the other features and functions are the nice to haves when you're just playing and having a good time. So, anyways, I found that when I did the installation and got all the wiring connected, when I went directly into the battery, I used the blue and the white wires that come along with the kit as trigger wires. And essentially what that means is that anytime that I were to walk up and wherever those trigger wires are plugged into, for me, I had them going into my reverse lights, so that if I unlock the truck, my reverse lights come on automatically. Just to kind of give you an extra view, that trigger wire sends a command back over to the lights, the control box, and it says, I don't care what you're running, I want you to emit black color. The problem is I thought it was going to be a super bright white color, and instead it was always a red color. And I don't really want to see the red underglow every time I unlock the truck. So I found another way to get to the same result that I was after. And so what I've done now is I don't have any power going directly to my battery. Instead, the power wires that I had that came with the Nilight, I plugged the red power into my daylight running lights, my DRLs. And of course, I've got a negative on the other side that needs to have that. So what does that mean for me? That means that anytime my DRLs are running, I have power running to my Nilight Underglow lights. Doesn't mean I have to be running them, but I have the opportunity to power them on at that time. The downfall is I cannot power them on unless my DRLs are on. So we'll see how that works out. The reason I went with that, though, is every time that I turn on or unlock my truck, it will turn on my DRL lights and essentially give me the view that I'm looking for. It remembers the last color that it was on. So in this case, the color, if I had the color white and then I switched them back on, it would remember that and it would give me the effect that I was going for. During that same time, while the DRLs are running, I can also turn on and play with different colors or different flash and strobe and this kind of thing. All right, so now, like I said, if I unlock my truck, this is the effect that I'll go for. And so you can see I've got the underglow remembered from the last setting I had, which was white. I've got the white lights on the tow mirrors. The front of the truck is on. The fog light DRLs are on. Now this only lasts for 20 or 30 seconds, and then they will shut off. So that's one downfall. But when you're running, when the truck is running, they should stay on. So we'll try that all out here once it gets a little bit darker. But yeah, if I power them on again, I can still go now at this stage, and I can grab the remote since it has power going to it, and I can change it to whatever I want. And it will remember the last color. So we'll set it to blue. We'll let it shut off. All right. And then all I'm doing to turn the lights on is I'm just hitting the unlock on my key fob. And so this should be blue at the bottom. And it is. All right, so this is underneath, obviously the white lights. You can see the two strips that I have going on. We'll change the colors over just so you can see what they look like. And then the DRLs go off, turn them back on. A flashing strobe effect. Back to the white. But you'll see I have the two full rows on either side of both the driver and the passenger, zip tied all up. So if you can see the side of the installation here, and the lights are off now, but you can still see that aluminum strip almost looks white underneath. I think it would look better if it were black. So I'm going to take and modify it just by putting a little piece of tape over the LEDs so that I don't paint those. But I just want to hit a little bit of paint on the outside of that aluminum to make those black. And I think those will blend in a little bit better and not show that white line at the bottom. But overall, very cool. Like I said, appreciate the team over at Nilight. Thanks for letting me try these out.